Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of the Full Quota podcast. This is your South African cricket podcast. We talk all things South African cricket. On Monday, we had our usual podcast where we took you through the week, and then we spoke about the squad announcements that kind of surprised Tim and I, but not in a good way, not in a bad way, just the timing. We're like, oh yeah, India's coming. So we're excited for the India series and in preparation of that, we decided to get someone who was rewarded for his great performances, and we'll talk to him later, a little bit later on. But remember, you can follow us on X, which is now Twitter. So X is for like the newbies, Twitter's for like the older people like myself and Tim. So please follow us on there. We're also on the One World Sports Radio platform. So please do like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. And then you can find the Full Quota podcast on Apple and Spotify. And yeah, all our work is there. We've gone over 150 episodes, Tim. Like this is 153. So it's been a long journey, my friend. How are you doing?
All good, but all good. There was a time when I wasn't sure we would make 10 shows, dude. So to get to 150 it's a nice milestone.
Yes, it is a nice milestone. And yeah, so this week on Monday we had the Proteas squad being announced for the series, the series with India. Right, we had all three formats being announced, and the person we're going to be talking to was rewarded for the most incredible one day cup. But also, and as a Lions fan, it hurts me. And yeah, that 150 that he scored over the weekend was a thing of beauty. Actually, it wasn't over the weekend, but anyway, it was last week anyway. It was a thing of beauty to watch. And as a Lions fan, Tim, well done. But we'd like to thank Western Province for organizing this interview. So to continue our In Conversation series, we've got Kyle Verreynne with us on the show. Hi, Kyle. How are you doing?
Hi, thanks for having me. Yeah, doing quite good. It's been a good week so far. So yeah, pretty good at the moment.
Actually, take us through Monday. Did you get the phone call on Monday or did you get it on Sunday?
I don't know if I'm allowed to tell you when I got the call, but yeah, I've known for quite a while.
Okay.
So yeah, Monday was sort of when it went out, and yeah, I got lots of messages and stuff, which is really cool. But yeah, I've known for quite a while. So my friends and families, they've all sort of known for the last couple of weeks. It's been really cool to sort of go through this experience again. Getting called up sort of for a second time. It's something that you don't always think is going to happen when you get left out of the side. So yeah, just quite a refreshing feeling. And yeah, I think I've just been in a pretty good mood the last couple of weeks, to be honest.
Yes, 327 runs in the One Day Cup. You have lit it up so much, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on. What we always ask our guests on our show is how they got into the game of cricket. Where did it start? How did you then realize that you could become professional? So if you could take us through that, it would be really amazing.
Yeah, I think it's probably a similar journey to most guys. I grew up, my brother's about 6 years older than me. So when I was sort of 2-3 years old, he was already playing like hardball cricket and stuff like that. So yeah, just watching him on the side of the field, playing with my dad, we just hit balls around and stuff, and just sort of watching him go about his business, it sort of got me excited and attracted me to the sport. And then I think just sort of as you grow up, go through school, it's something that you get caught up in. But I'd probably say only sort of my early teenage years did I think that cricket is actually something that you could probably pursue. But got into it quite early at a young age, just watching my brother and playing with my dad on the side of the field.
And what about wicket keeping? I recently found out that wicket keeping was not necessarily something that you took to straight away. Take us through that in terms of your journey through wicket keeping.
Yeah, so keeping's it's a bit of an interesting one. I think like I mentioned, I started playing pretty young, and as you do, you play under 10 cricket. Everyone rocks up at the nets and they try and bowl, they try and bat, and they try and do a bit of everything. yeah, I was pretty good at batting, and I was at the time pretty decent at bowling. I mean, height and that stuff's not really a factor, so I could bowl pretty decently. Ended up, I think, opening the batting and bowling quite a few or quite often for like the under 10s or whatever. And then I think a couple of the parents complained that I was batting and bowling and not giving everyone else a chance. So the coach came to me and asked, which one did you prefer? Because you can only do one. So I said, well, I'll stick to batting, but I don't really feel like fielding. Is there any chance that I could try keeping? So I was like, yeah, sure, go do it. Did it and ended up being pretty fun. So I sort of stuck to that. And then I think probably only when I was about, I don't know, maybe 14, 15 years old, did it actually become something that I did properly. But yeah, when I started playing, I was believe it or not, a seam bowler that batted a little bit. Yeah, it just sort of worked out that bowling didn't really become an option anymore, and I sort of fell in love with keeping, and that was sort of something that I did because yeah, standing in the field for however many overs doing nothing, it's quite boring. So yeah, fortunately keeping sort of went okay, and yeah, luckily it's allowed me to have a career up until now. Thank you, sir.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
That's truly amazing, Kyle. It's yeah, it's I think wicket keeping is for those that find hanging around the field a little bit boring. You
Yeah.
always need to be busy. Yeah, but so when did you realize that you could make money out of this? When did you realize that that I'm actually good enough to play professionally?
It's a good question, actually. So obviously played S under 19 and I went to the under 19 World Cup. But I think at that stage, you still, or at least for me at least, you don't really understand how much money's in sport and the possibilities of it being a career actually is. And like at the time, we still had semi-pro cricket and there were like contracts for that and stuff. But I don't think I ever really thought, this could be like a full-time job. Playing S under 19, you sort of think this is cool, but you sort of have it at the back of your mind that someday you're going to have to start working and go to university and stuff like that. And then I remember my mom actually phoned me. I was lying in bed and she said, listen, Western Province wants you to come in for a meeting. Didn't know what it was about, rocked up there and they put a contract on the table and they said, well, here's a contract, you can sign it or not, but if you sign it, there's a salary and it's now your full-time job. And I was like, oh my goodness, okay, this is actually a real thing. And I think only then did I realize that you can actually make a career out of this and actually earn a decent amount of money. So yeah, to be honest, as much as I always wanted to play cricket and I always wanted to be a professional, I always wanted to play for South Africa, I don't think I actually realized it could be a job until I actually saw my first contract in front of me. It's not something that I really thought about too much. But yeah, in that moment, I was like, okay, wow, this could actually be a career. Yeah, take it from there.
Well, that's
something that was something that you enjoyed effectively became your job. I mean, that's the ideal.
Yeah.
That's the ideal.
Yeah.
It's a dream. I'm not gonna lie. It's a dream.
You're living our dream. That's the thing. We all dreamt of getting there. You're the one who got there, and yeah, enjoy it. Enjoy it, my man.
Yeah, well.
Who would you say were your inspirations? Before you made the professional setup, that inspired you to go, you know what? You can do something about this. This can be more than just a hobby.
Yeah, I mean, I think my sort of guys that are my age, we sort of grew up in the era where Jacques Kallis was sort of like at his peak, and AB de Villiers was not really starting, but he was sort of starting to hit like the heights that he hit at the end of his career. So for me, those are the two guys that I sort of looked at, and yeah, that's like my two cricketing idols. That yeah. Don't want to say it gave me hope, but you sort of look at them and you're like, wow, one day, like if I could be anything like those two guys, that'll be incredible. So those are the two guys that I looked up to. And then I was fortunate to go to Wynberg Boys High School. I got the Jacques Kallis bursary, which is obviously it's a bursary that he has where he gives out to kids to attend schools around the country. So that sort of made me fall in love with him even more, and I just looked up to him, and definitely someone in the cricketing world that inspired me quite a bit. And then just more like on a more personal level, just my mom and my brother. I think like all the hard work and stuff that they put into what they do and supporting me and stuff like that. I think that sort of just inspired me. Whether it was going to be cricket or anything else, I've always just wanted to make them proud and sort of do justice to the hard work and all the efforts that they've really put into me growing up and stuff. So yeah, I'm really happy that it was cricket. But like I said, it could have been anything. I just honestly, as a young boy, I just wanted to make the two of them proud. That was all I wanted to do.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. I think our parents and
Yeah,
our siblings just want the best of us. So yeah, look, and they just want to be proud, and I think
Yeah, for sure.
you've done more than enough, Kyle, for them to be proud. I think you taking on every opportunity and running with it, and to a certain extent, that's where we're going to be going now in terms of your early years at Western Province and you coming on the scene and you just lit up the scene. You were always up there in the top of the run, scoring really across all formats actually, which was quite great. But that led you up to that first Proteas call. But in those early years at Western Province, you were slightly different to a lot of the other youngsters who don't take time to kind of settle. Whereas with you, it felt like it was a little bit easier. Talk us through that period and how you adjusted and what led to that success at that point in time.
Yeah, I think I've got to give a lot of credit to Ashwell Prince. I've spoken about him quite a bit in previous interviews and stuff like that. But I think for me, he was really good. So yeah, being able to sort of start my professional career with him as the coach, I think that helped me so much. Sort of sped up my growth quite a bit. I think he was someone in his career that things weren't just handed to him. It didn't really come easy, and he sort of understood the graft and the grind of like how hard you have to work and sort of those sort of things that you needed to do and how you need to go about scoring runs, not always in the pretty way, but just finding a way to be successful. And I think in my first couple of months as a pro cricketer, having him not necessarily from like a cricketing point of view, but more from like a mental side, just give me insights into how he went about his business, really helped me. And something else that I always really appreciated about him was just his belief in me. As soon as I got into the team, as soon as he sort of took me under his wing, it was always, giving me support and telling me how much he believed in me and how much he believed in my ability and stuff like that. And I think when you have a coach like that backs you 100%, it makes going out there and performing quite a lot easier. I think a lot of younger guys come into a team and they feel like they're still on like a trial period. They still got to impress the coach and stuff like that. But yeah, I just felt like that team that I came into and with Ashwell as the head coach, just felt like I belonged straight away. And yeah, just felt like I had the full support before I'd even played my first game. And I think that just made it so much easier. There was no panic or no concern or anything like that. It just sort of freed me up. So I think, yeah, a lot of those sort of early years has got to go to having him as a coach.
Yeah, he's a great man. I think he's an even better coach. So I think you were lucky to have him at that time because he backs you to the hills, which is the most amazing thing when he talks about you. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Tim?
I thought it was yours, but okay, I'll go. If we move a little bit more forward, if we move towards this season, I think that last season there were a lot of injuries that affected you guys, which meant you guys didn't reach the levels that I thought you could have. I really thought you had the talent, even if there was a bit of inexperience with a lot of young guys in there. What was the thinking around the plans and the game plans set for this season? When you had your pre-season chats and things, what was the because like it's a definite shift in the way the team plays, and it seems to be across all formats as well at the moment. So yeah, just take us through that.
Look, I think it isn't something that we've sort of just ticked over this year and started doing. I think there's been it hasn't always worked out. But I think probably for the last 3 seasons since Snakes took over as our head coach, there's been a sort of a shift into playing. We want to play positive cricket. We want to play an exciting brand. We want to play a brand of cricket that people actually want to watch. And I think it's something that we sort of spoke about for the last 2 or 3 years. And this year it's all just clicked together. I think if I give you a reason for why it sort of worked this year, I'd probably say for the first time in my 8 to 9 years at Western Province, at the start of the season, we didn't sit down and have like a meeting where we chatted about goals and stuff for the season. When I sort of took the preseason meeting, the first and it's probably one of the very few things that I said. All I said was, we just got to appreciate the position we're in and just understand that playing professional cricket is really, it's not something to take for granted. And in that, when you go out there, as much as you always feel like there's pressure, as much as you always feel like there's so much riding on it, there's so many other people that want to be doing what you're doing. Just go out there, have fun, express your talent. And if you do that, I think we'll come out on top. And that's sort of been the message from when we started the season up until now. And it seems to be working quite nicely. I think guys they're playing a lot more freely. There's a lot more expressing your talents and stuff like that. And I think also something that's been really good from our coaching staff is at the start of the season, everyone was told that, you don't need to worry about contracting or anything. Come the end of the season, we'll be backing you 100%. Just go out there, play your brand of cricket and everything will be fine. And I think that's quite nice because, some guys only have 1-year contracts, so it's very difficult to go out there and sort of express yourself when you're worried about if you're going to get a contract the next season or whatever. But our coaching staff has been incredible in just saying, you know what, guys, this is the group of players that we've got. We're going to back you for the next couple of years. Go out there, have fun, enjoy yourself. And I think you guys can probably see that on the field. We're having a lot of fun out there. All 20 of us that's played for Western Province this season, honestly, I feel like it's the first time that I've played in a team where everyone is like genuinely mates. Everyone gets on well off the field, and it's just such a fun time. And I've just felt like this season, when you're having fun and you're enjoying each other's company, you don't even need to think about the cricket because that just takes care of itself. And I think like Tim mentioned, with the talent and the quality that we have, if we can just find a way to sort of untap that, we'll be successful. And I think this year, just focusing on enjoying ourselves and creating a good environment has allowed us to just not worry too much about the cricket, but let that sort of take care of itself. And I think it's done. It's been like that for the last couple of months, which has been really, really cool to be a part of.
Yeah, and it's led you to being one-day cup champions, right? So that's a great thing, right? It's a marker, right? There's 3 trophies. You already have 1. And obviously last year you lost in the final, so it's a really, really good stepping stone. And on your personal performances, right, Kyle, did you take that motto of express your talent, the runs will come, or did you have anything as extra to look forward to kind of as a goal, or was it just let me just play my game and it will follow?
Yeah, I think maybe something that I've done in the past is you put so much pressure on yourself, and every time there's a start of a competition, you think, okay, I want to be the leading run scorer, I want to do this, I want to do that. But this year, I think for me, it's been a little bit different. Obviously, being captain of the side, I've got to put a lot of focus on the other guys. I've got to put a lot of focus on what team we're selecting, making sure that the rest of the team's in a good space, that you actually almost don't have the time to think about your own game and stuff. And to be honest, I think that's actually probably worked out quite nicely for me. I've sort of gone into every game and I haven't really thought about my own performances. I've been more focused on making sure we get the starting lineup right, making sure that bowling changes are right, making sure that everyone's in a good space. And then by the time I go and play, I'm like, oh goodness, okay, I haven't really thought about my own game. Let's just sort of play here and sort of express myself. And I think that's been quite nice. So as much as there's a lot of pressure being captain, I think it's helped my personal game because I think it's allowed me to just free myself up and not focus too much on the smaller things and just make sure that I'm enjoying my cricket. pretty confident in myself. So I know if I'm having fun and enjoying it, I think the performances will come together, which I think has been shown this year.
They certainly have. They certainly have. And as you said just now, you personally look like you're enjoying yourself. You go out to bat and you look like you are enjoying it. You don't seem to be. Obviously, there is pressure there. Of course there is, but it doesn't seem like that way from us from the outside. It looks like you are enjoying that pressure, which is having a massive effect on the team.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you guys something that I've spoken to the team about, just on pressure. We sat in a meeting at the start of the season and actually spoke about that point, just speaking about the different pressures and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, I think something that I mentioned to the guys was, the guy on the side of the street that's like begging for food, or the guy that's working a 9 to 5, that's struggling to put food on his table, that's struggling to find a place to live. Like that's real pressure, like that's pressure. You wake up every morning and you think, am I going to have a job the next day? Am I going to have food on the table? Am I going to have somewhere to sleep? Like that's proper pressure. We get to go to Newlands every day, play at Newlands. There's a game on the line. Like we've got to win the game, but at the end of the day, like as bad as it sounds, if we don't win the game, we're going to come back the next week and we're still going to be professional cricket players and we're still going to play at Newlands. If you don't score runs, you're still going to get paid. Like it's fine. If we don't win the One Day Cup final, it's going to be a terrible feeling. But in a week's time, we're going to start the 4-day comp and we're going to start again. And we've all got jobs, all going home to our families and stuff like that. Like that's not really pressure, And I think when you look at it like that, you're playing in a final, you're 50 for 5 or whatever, and you just sit up and you think, well, this isn't really pressure. It's actually pretty fun, You're in an environment where you're doing what you love, and the end outcome could be I win a trophy for my province. Like that's not pressure. That's like it's fun. Like that's exciting. So just going back on pressure. Like I think something that the team's really embraced is that we're not under pressure at all when we play. Yes, there's nerves. Yes, there's excitement and stuff, but to call what we're doing a pressure environment, it's not fair on the guys that are really struggling in life. And I think that's something that as a team we put a lot of focus on. And I think it's something that's actually made dealing with those sort of big moments a lot easier.
Yeah, well, in the One Day Cup final, you were 4 for 81. And then
something like that, yeah.
I assume you said that to Mithali, and then you and Mithali went on and put on 199. So it works.
Something like that. I'll tell you, Popo's walked out to the middle and obviously, I don't know what it was, 4 for 80 or whatever.
81, yeah.
Something like that. It was looking terrible. And Popo's just walked out to the middle and he just said, Skip, I'm going to lift the trophy tonight, so we're going to have to find a way to make this work here. And that was pretty much the conversation, and we just, knuckled down and got on.
That's amazing. Wow. That is really, really cool. So I want to ask you about the 150 last weekend. Do you remember it? Because the question for me is, did you walk out of there thinking, I want to put these guys in a hole? And because obviously the brand of cricket is aggressive, but you just went in on them. And as a Lions supporter, it was hurtful, but we enjoyed the cricket nonetheless. And it was a great innings. So can you just give us a little bit about that innings?
Yeah, to tell you the truth, there was no real set plan at all. I think when I got there, we were maybe like 70 for 3, so we were under like a little bit of pressure. We got to lunch. Myself and Eddie normally talk quite a bit about batting and stuff like that, but I don't know, at lunch we didn't really speak. It was just whatever. Got back out into the middle. There wasn't really any set plan on what we were trying to do. And then next thing, I think I might have hit the off spinner for a 6, and Eddie just came to me and he's like, well, I think I'm also going to try and take him on. So I was like, okay, that's fine. Let's go. And for the next hour and a half, it was, we're just trying to see who can hit as many boundaries as possible. It wasn't really a plan. It wasn't really anything we discussed or anything like that. It just sort of happened and ended up working really nicely. But I think that's sort of that's just the way our season's been at the moment. Like I said, we're just trying to have fun and enjoy our cricket, and give our fans that follow us something exciting to watch. And when you play like that, I think you play at your best. So there was no plan to put them under pressure, no plan to sort of go as aggressively as we did. I think it just sort of something that just sort of happened, and we just went with the flow, and it ended up working out really, really nicely.
That's really awesome, because it was beautiful to watch. I won't lie, it was like, wow, okay, Kyle really has a point to prove, and it's just sad it was against my team. But look, when the conditions call for it.
Sorry, go.
No, I'm saying when the conditions call for it.
I think it helped. It helped knowing that I was already in the test side before that inning, so I could sort of just go out there and have a little bit of fun.
Yeah, actually, let's move on to that. Right, your first time in the test side, your debut in the West Indies. That was that was probably one of your proudest moments, obviously, because it's the pinnacle of South African sport. But moving on to the second time, right? Obviously, the last time you played, I think you were one of the only people last year to score 100 for South Africa, and then obviously you didn't make the side for earlier this year. What changes did you make to your game in order for you to necessarily try get back in to the side? Did you know kind of the things that the guys were wanting you to do? Because a lot of the talk around was maybe necessarily your technique wasn't ready for test match cricket. And we saw, like in that New Zealand innings, there were a couple of adjustments that you made, and we could see a growing cricketer. I think for us as fans, our disappointment was you necessarily didn't get into the next test side, but we kind of knew that you were always going to come back. But the work in that period where West Indies was tough, and then you go through and it comes a little bit better. Can you take us through the work that you were going through, and then obviously leading up to this period?
I think the guys that know me and sort of the way that I play, I'm not really someone that puts too much emphasis on technique and stuff like that. I think for me, cricket is a game, especially batting. A lot of it's just mental, being mentally strong and sort of being able to deal with situations. But in saying that, there are obviously, you've got to reflect. I did speak to Shooks after I got dropped. It's actually been really nice. We've had a couple of good conversations just about going forward and stuff like that, and where he sort of sees me. There has been a couple of technical things that I've sort of tried to work on a little bit. I'm never going to be someone that's going to make massive technical changes, because I fully believe in my way of batting, and I believe it'll be successful. But I think in saying that, there are times where you need to sort of take a step back and say, okay, I do need to do one or two things a little bit better. And I think over the winter, there's a few things that I focused on quite a bit. And then I obviously went on the A-side tour where Shooks was the coach, and we had one or two conversations there. I think it's been more about a sort of mental shift and just, really dominating domestic cricket is something that I've really put a focus on. And then, I think the last couple of months, just fixing maybe one or two minor technical things. I don't think it's anything that'll be able to be seen sort of to the naked eye or whatever. But I think it has been a sort of 6-month process, just trying to get myself a bit more ready for test cricket if I were to get the call up. So I think, I'm in a quite a good space now. I feel like I'm a lot more ready than I was probably a couple of months ago. We'll just have to see how the next series goes. But I definitely have made one or two adjustments, and I'm hoping that it'll reap the rewards.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will.
I'm sure.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so.
The runs will come. And as Mpho said, the runs were there when you got dropped. When you compare it to the rest of the guys.
I know.
We were struggling, and you were doing pretty well. What about the fact that the 4 now province guys are in that squad?
Ooh.
So you got yourself, Betty, Quota, Burger, what does that tell you about the province setup that you guys have all now been picked across formats in the Proteas setup? Yeah, how does that make you feel as a team?
Honestly, it's for me. I mean, it's my first sort of season as full-time captain. So I've got a lot of pride in that because I feel like myself and Nandre, we've sort of come a long way the last 5 years or whatever it is playing at Western Province. So to see him get selected, like for me, that's such a proud moment. Pawpaws, he came into the side when I was there, so I've seen him develop, and that makes me like so proud. David, we went to school together. We've been playing together since school days. We were actually chatting the other day. I think when he got selected, and we just said, who would have thought 7 or 8 years ago? I remember us sitting in a room in Joburg, trying to figure out how on earth we're going to become professional cricket players, and now we're in a test squad together for our country. Like it's so cool. Obviously Tony's there. He's someone that I've played with through all the age groups and stuff like that. So for me personally, it's such a proud moment. But I think for Western Province, it's also something that sort of, it's something that Western Province was always known for when it was the Cobras or whatever. You looked at the Proteas side and there's 5 or 6 Cobras guys every single time. They win all the trophies. They in every team. That's just how it was. And I think for the last couple of years, we've lost that. We haven't won anything. There's been 1 or 2 guys making debuts here and there, but nothing major. So to sort of now win a trophy firstly, and then have all of these guys get call ups. I think for the Union and Newlands and Cape Town, I think it's a lot bigger than maybe us as players realize. I know there's been a lot of board members and stuff like that have sent messages about how big this is for Western Province. So yeah, I think on a holistic front, it's massive, and I think it also just shows that what we're doing with the coach, with Salik as coach, with the leadership group, with all our backroom staff and stuff, what we've been working towards for the last 3 years or so, it's finally sort of reaping the rewards, and it's just a reminder to keep doing what we're doing, because guys will get rewarded and we're on the right track. So yeah, it's a really positive thing for us.
Yeah, no, it's an indicator of your success. You guys are winning. You're playing really great cricket, and yeah, it's going to be incredible to see. And as you say, the strong Proteas sides had a very strong Western Province, right? And it's important you have a very strong Western Province for South African cricket. So that's a really good thing to see, Kyle. It's and it speaks to you as a captain and a testament to your leadership. And my question to you is, do you want more of a leadership role now this time around in the Proteas side? Obviously, you are leading the #1 franchise in the country right now in terms of cricket. Would you, do you have aspirations to that, to kind of be part of that? Obviously, the Proteas have a leadership core, but is that something that you're looking towards? Because from talking to you and the way your team has been played, you're a very good leader. You get the best out of everyone.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that I ever thought I'd be wanting. I'll be honest, up until probably about a year and a half ago, I thought that being a captain is the worst thing in the world, and it's something that I said I will never ever do. But yeah, last year Tony stepped down and Snakes asked me to take over, and I said, like, I don't really want to, but I'll do it, and we can see how it goes. And at the end of the season, see how it goes. And to be honest, I've absolutely loved it. It's been one of the best things ever, and yeah, like I said, I've loved every minute. I'm loving being a captain, being a leader. It's been so good, I think, for me as a person, and I think it's been so good for my game. And honestly, I've enjoyed it so much, and I think it's something that I didn't really have when I was in the Proteas setup the last time. So going back into the Proteas setup now as a sort of a captain or a leader or whatever, I think it'll be a little bit different. And I think now I have a different sort of outlook on that. Being captain of South Africa one day is something that I've started to think about maybe being a possibility, something that I'd love to do. When I go into the setup now, obviously got to work your way back in. But if I can add value in terms of leadership somewhere, if there's an opportunity, it's something that I'd love to be a part of. like I said, it's something that I never really thought I would have enjoyed, but I've absolutely loved it, and I think I've sort of grown into it quite nicely and done a decent job. So yeah, to answer your question, it's definitely something that I'm going to be putting maybe a little bit more focus on, trying to add maybe a little bit more value when I get into the setup and see if I can not just be a player but also be a part of not necessarily decisions, but just sort of add value where I can, and hopefully one day be a part of a leadership group if I can perform and be there for long enough.
So I'm sure you'll be able to
Awesome.
do that and perform
Yeah.
and be there for a very long time, Kyle. What we pride ourselves on our show is that a lot of the players who we've interviewed have always been on the fringes of the Proteas, but they've gone on and made it in. We sat here with Sarl, and he was saying that his only chance of playing for the Proteas was if one of the openers got injured, and somehow it happened, and he got his call
Yeah.
up. Even with Senran Mutusami earlier last year, he said the same thing with us. He was like, well, he's not sure, but he's outside, and he made it in. And so,
Yeah.
look, I love how cricket is, because taking opportunities is really important. And it sounds like this time, Kyle, you are going in with a little bit more of knowing what it was before, and also you kind of have a clear head
Yeah.
of what it is you want to accomplish. And it's a dangerous place to be as a sportsman, because you're just going all the way up, and you're probably gonna give the Indians a lot of problems, which is what our fans would like to have.
I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah. One last question from us. Obviously, you play across all formats, right? Is there a favorite format for you when it comes to this lovely game of cricket?
As much as the money's in T20 cricket and white ball cricket, I absolutely love red ball cricket. For me, it's the favorite. Just, obviously we play 4-day cricket, but test match 4-day cricket, the feeling you get when you get that last wicket on day 4 after tea, or when you score the winning runs on day 5 in a test match, like, I don't think anyone can put that feeling into words. Obviously, you play 1-day cricket in front of huge crowds, and after a couple of hours it's done, and you've got this high, and then it goes and you're on to the next one. I think guys that have played test cricket and a lot of 4-day cricket, getting a tough win where you fight for 4 or 5 days, so hard, and it's just so mentally draining, so physically draining, to then get a win and you sit in the change room and you say, after 5 days or 4 days or whatever it is, we've managed to find a way to come out on top and win. That feeling is unbelievable. I mean, just this last week against the Titans, there was times on day 1 where I thought we were going to win this game comfortably. Then on day 2, they came back and I thought, okay, it's going to be a challenge. Then day 3, it looks like, okay, we're winning comfortably. Then Donovan goes and gets 90 in no time, and you think, oh my word, we might actually lose this now. It's going to be a disaster. And then you get the last wicket and you're like, oh my word, we've actually done it. It's been 4 days of constant pressure, constant working hard, back and forth, and sitting in the change room, singing the team song. You're like, okay, we actually did. Like, that feeling is incredible. So for me, red ball cricket's the ultimate. I love it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Glad to hear that. Hopefully, we'll be playing some more 4-day cricket next season.
I hope so.
We are fans
really,
of 4-day cricket. We're advocates of more games for you guys, because we don't think 7 now is enough. I think at least
it's
get
not
to
enough.
10
It's not enough,
or a little bit more. And because we want you guys to score 1,000 runs in a season. That for me growing up was the pinnacle, right? If you scored 1,000 runs, there was no argument with the selectors as to whether you should be in the team or not. And now we're still trying to find out what the statistical number is. And so, but Kyle, thank you very much. We wish you all the best with the Proteas.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you're stepping into a really great season. I think the leadership keeps you busy. And that's the thing about being a captain. It's like you're always constantly thinking, on top of that, you're keeping as well. So it kind of shows the type of all-round cricketer you are. And, an all-round cricketer is what we're looking for in South Africa, and I think Coach Shukri and Coach Rob have something there for you in terms of you in the long term. And I wish you all the best. I wish Western Province all the best. Hopefully the Lions will kind of figure it out somewhere along the way. But in that, we wish you.
That's the first.
Everyone,
Mpho doesn't often give wishes to Western Province.
I don't, but I gotta look. Let's have a real conversation. You guys are great. You guys are amazing. My team has something to sort it out, and like if I'm watching you guys, I'm having a great time, which is what you want, Kyle. So
Yes.
yeah. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you very much for your time. And yeah, all the best, and hopefully we get to see you because I'm up here in Johannesburg, so might see you in the press conferences, whatever. Once you've scored like big runs against India, because that's what we want.
I hope so.
Sure. Thank you very much, Kyle. Have a nice day.
Thanks, Kyle. Thanks very much, Shaq.
You too. Thanks for having
awesome.
me.
Cheers.
Appreciate it.
Charles.
Tim, that was amazing. That was amazing. Western Province captain, Kyle Verreynne. Oh, man. And he's on a heater. He's the thing with him is like he's been consistent, right? Throughout his career. And one of the best batsmen we have. And now is the time for us to reap the rewards. And I think that's what's exciting about this team, right? Is no one's complaining about new faces or guys coming back because they've performed. They've put it down and
done the business.
Yeah. And the thing was with Western Province, you guys are 5 guys in there in those squads, and that's something to be proud of because last year it was just Tony and Tony.
Yeah. I must apologize for leaving out Tony in that discussion. Tony was already in. He was already in.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. So there you have it, guys. Really, really great interview. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back on Monday, talking, probably preparing and previewing for the India series and going through the squads, discussing 11s, discussing strategies. We are starting with T20. So for those who are like Tim, who don't like T20, just indulge us, right? And then we're going to go
I've got to bite the bullets. Yes.
Just indulge us. But currently, obviously, SAA is playing in Bloemfontein. They're doing really well. So we'll cover that. The second game for the South African Proteas women also that one was rained out, so hopefully we'll get more games coming through there in Kimberley. Thank you very much, guys. Remember, please follow us on X, subscribe to the One World Sports Radio channel, send through your comments. We do appreciate them. Also, please do follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you're an audio person, right? If you want to listen to Kyle in audio and don't want to see the lovely Cape Town lifestyle he's got on in the background, you can just do that on audio, right? But thank you very much to Western Province as well for organizing that. We really do appreciate it. We do like highlighting domestic players. So if you are a media manager or in a team and you want to come through to us, please do contact us and please do let us know. We will be contacting you as well, so don't be surprised, because we want to showcase everyone. Now we've had many interviews, and we love talking to South African cricketers because they need to be highlighted. That's the thing, right? They need to be put on a pedestal. They need to be highlighted. It's a one way to get sponsors into the game. It's one way to get sponsors on our show, and it's one way to grow the game and to get them more money. Because remember, like Kyle, he said he didn't know he could make a living out of this, and then it happens. With more sponsorship, we can do that for more kids. We can do that for more people, especially with SA20, especially with all of these things coming around. Our cricket isn't dead. It just needs that push. But outside of that, Tim, enjoy the week in cricket. I don't even think we've got games. There's just the SAA left. But outside of that, goodbye and lesale kakahiso.